Come on in. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about the worst alliance names of all time. Yeah, the Black Widow Brigade and the Witches' Coven, these are not. Named alliances on Survivor are actually relatively rare, and when they are named, they typically follow the X tribe Y number naming convention, as in Taku 4, Foa Foa 4, Itu 4, a lot of fours. But sometimes players get a little more creative with their alliance names. While Survivor pales in comparison to the delightfully awful suite of horrible alliance names we get on Big Brother every season, every once in a while, we Survivor fans are gifted a laughably bad alliance name worthy of our summer sibling. So today, I thought it would be fun to look back at some of Survivor's lamest, worst, most cringe alliance names of all time. From well-known but poorly named alliances to an alliance name so bad it didn't even make air. So gather your family, get yourself some rice and beans, and hold on to your coconuts as we take a look at the worst Survivor alliance names of all time. At number 5 is the Triforce Alliance in Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X. I'd like you to think about what shape the word Triforce conjures in your mind. Go ahead and visualize it. Think really hard about it, and now tell me what shape that is. How many sides does it have? If you answered 3, congratulations, you passed preschool. The Triforce is a perfectly good Survivor Alliance name if you've got 3 members, but the Millennial Tribe's Triforce Alliance inexplicably had 4, Taylor, Figgy, Jay, and Michelle, and then later Will and Michaela were all but added to it. That's 2 Triforces for the price of 1. Yeah, I guess counting's not their strong suit. I'm really struggling to find which member represents the Triforce of Wisdom in this group. To make things even worse, this alliance even had its own poorly named sub-alliance within its own poorly named main alliance, the Showmance of Figgy and Taylor, or Figtails. Barf. Mercifully, neither the Triforce nor Figtails were long for the game. Figtails was disbanded when Figgy was voted out at the swap, and the Triforce followed suit as both Michelle and Taylor left early in the merge. The 4-sided, occasionally 6-sided, and finally just 1-sided Triforce banished to the Dark World for good. Worst Triforce ever. Except the one in Skyward Sword. That game sucks. At number 4 is Mason Dixon in Survivor, David vs. Goliath. Nick came into the game a huge fan of Dan Giesling from Big Brother, and one element of his game he wanted to emulate was naming his one-on-one alliances. This was very good strategy in my opinion and worked very well for Nick, because it instantly personalized his one-on-one alliances in a big way. There were the rock stars, there were the thoroughbreds, and there was Mason Dixon. Nick named his alliance with Christian Mason-Dixon because they're both from states bordering the Mason-Dixon line, the boundary between northern and southern states. To be very, very clear, I'm not assigning any sort of bad motives or beliefs to anyone here, and I don't think Mason-Dixon is inherently offensive or anything like that. But as someone on the West Coast, this is a term I have literally only ever heard in a historical context. You know, like a blues versus grays sort of thing. Even without that, Mason-Dixon is just not Nick's best work. And I think he probably should have left this one in the oven a bit longer. But hey, this did come from a guy not typically well known for thinking things through completely. At number 3 is an alliance name I didn't even know existed until I started doing research for this video. The Birdies in Survivor 42. This is an alliance that we often saw, but whose name didn't actually make air. But it's so bad I simply have to include it in this list. In Survivor 42's early post-merge, both Marianne and Romeo were on the bottom of the massive 8-person alliance, and they thought Omer was too. But he was playing both sides, pretending to be an outsider when he was really in tight with the power structure. According to post-game interviews, this secret trio called themselves the Birdies, which got that name because, according to Romeo, Omer hates dogs. Putting aside that learning that knowledge instantly dropped Omer like 50 spots in my personal player ranking, the Birdies were actually a pretty successful alliance. Omer was able to steer votes away from these two from the inside, and as the 8 crumbled, power slowly coalesced around the Taku 4, including Marianne and Omer. And Romeo was there too. Per Marianne, she actually helped convince Romeo to take out Omer by furthering their Birdie metaphor, telling him that they're 2 birds and Omer is the bird keeper. Okay. I really like all 3 players in this alliance, but the Birdies just sounds like a cheapo Disney Plus cartoon or something, and not an important endgame alliance containing the winner. So I see why the name was left on the cutting room floor. Hearing about the Birdies every episode would not exactly help beat those new era Survivor is for whittle babies allegations. At number 2 is the Cool Kids Alliance in Survivor Caramoan. This alliance of alleged fans on the second Fans vs. Favorites season was made up of Reynold, Eddie, Allie, and Hope. Bound together, united by their hotness. I'll give them this. It takes balls to call yourselves the Cool Kids. This flirty foursome made absolutely zero effort to hide their Cool Kids alliance. They cuddled together, they bathed together, and they just sorta assumed that the rest of the tribe would fall into their pocket. Why? Because they're so cool, naturally. By the time the Cool Kids got to math class and learned that 4 is not a majority of 10, it was too late. Despite a late attempt to rope in Michael and Matt to vote out Shamar, Allie is voted out of this group first, followed shortly thereafter by Hope, and Reynold and Eddie would spend the rest of the game on the back foot. In the annals of Survivor lore, there have been many cliquey alliances made up of the youngest, hottest people on the tribe. The no-callers, the mall rats, the young women on Amazon, the Triforce from earlier in this video, just to name a few. But none were as disastrously and overtly cliquey as this group. And those other alliances at least had the decency not to blatantly call themselves the Cool Kids, which you must admit implies a certain hostility to the uncool kids. Like, I'm honestly surprised they didn't give Cochran a swirly. At number 1, the worst alliance name of all time is Tommy and his mommy. The alliance between Tommy and Janet in Survivor Island of the Idols. This one's just kinda weird. Every time Tommy said this in Island of the Idols, I wanted to retch. Tommy's greatest strength in the game was his ability to build strong relationships quickly, and he genuinely does not get his due as a top-tier social player. The names of those relationships, however, could use some workshopping. Just because Janet is your surrogate island mother and mommy rhymes with Tommy does not mean you have to say it. Just don't say it.
An idol can shake everything up. So right away in the morning, my girl Janet and I, Tommy and his mommy, went to idol hunt.
Surely you must know how it sounds. It's very easy to not say Tommy and his mommy. I often go days, months, even years without saying it. But Tommy repeatedly referred to his alliance with Janet in this very way. And honestly, hearing him say this was sometimes the cringiest part of any given episode on this season. Well, okay, maybe not the cringiest, but it was up there. I need to know, does he do this with everything in his life? Or was this just a Survivor thing? Think I'll have a sandwich. Or as I call it, Tommy and his salami. Does he turn on his PS5 and play Tommy and his Kiwami? Oh, I've got some alone time. Time for Tommy and his Palmy. Overall, both Tommy and Janet are really likable people. I like both Tommy and his mommy, but the branding of this alliance is easily the worst, the cringiest, and the most accidentally disturbing of all time. Now let us never speak of it again. Got nothing else for ya. If you want to join my Cool Kids Alliance, like and subscribe and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.